theory that Syndrome's Island was the sole result of a methodical hijacking. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and don't you just love the comment section? Recently I've been pushing the boundaries of my haters, responding to the hate with even sassier sass, and it's fun to see the haters indulge in self-triggering, but the comments are also useful for more than just entertaining flame wars. They're really good for the insightful people who help with evidence. Most of the time I'll just pin the comments that have great evidence, but this time I found such a useful comment on Syndrome Part 1 that I absolutely have to share it with you, because of just how much it changes things for my little island theory. Remember my Lorax video? It wasn't my best work, but the mini theory inside of it about Ted's grandpa was some of my best work. And remember when I got a comment on that video that was so amazing that I made a video about that comment all by itself? Well, today, a similar situation has risen. A commenter named Grant Rogers commented something very useful to my theory, which I actually couldn't believe I missed the first time around. Before I present their evidence, I quickly want to recap this little theory I had. I will now show you a clip, which is a couple of minutes long, which is from the end of my other theory. Here it is. But after all of this research, I discovered something on the bonus disc, which is actually what prompted me to make this whole video. It 100% confirms the theory that Buddy had the government's files, but does not mean that he was working with them. It also proves that Buddy's mother may be Psychwave. Do you want to have an epic mind blow? Well, get a load of this. The bonus disc explains that various heroes formed groups. One in particular is known as the Phantasmics. It has Macro Burst, Plasma Bolt, and it did have Geyser Beam until Everseer took over his position. But there's one final member to this team. You guessed it, Psychwave. And you will not believe where their headquarters are located. They are located on a secret mid-ocean island. Sound familiar? My theory is that when Syndrome killed his parents, he discovered their information on the secret base, which he then took power of, giving him all of the information on the NSA. This funded his plans, let him build inventions, and pursue a life in supervillainy. Notice the order in which the supers are eliminated. First, it's Universal Man, which would make sense if it was someone close to him. Then, Psychwave, someone he'd also be close to. And how on earth could he defeat a freaking psychic? Unless he inherited some of her power, that is. The next one is Everseer, the next person on the team of the Phantasmics. Then another on the team. It just keeps going, and it all makes sense. Thanks to the bonus disc, I blew my own mind into infinitesimal smithereens when I figured this out. But then came this comment. Grant Rogers pointed out how Geyser Beam was found dead in the cave, but that he somehow knew the password Kronos. Everybody, to this day, seemed to be confused as to how Geyser Beam knew the password. Even on the wiki, all it says is that he got it through an unknown method. But now, more than ever, is it completely transparent. Geyser Beam was one of the original members on the team of the Phantasmics, before Everseer, of course, took over his position as leader, but if he originally was on the team, he'd know about their computer's password. For some reason, Geyser Beam was kicked out by Everseer, but more on that in a second. Grant Rogers also goes on about how Geyser Beam wrote Kronos onto the cave walls because he learned about Syndrome's plans from the hijacked computer and left the password there for other supers to find when they inevitably became threatened by Buddy. Grant also mentions that Buddy kept the password on the wall along with Geyser Beam's corpse just so that he could recapture Mr. Incredible and other supers after they learned the truth. Now that is serious psychological manipulation and misanthropy, and it makes sense. Syndrome didn't even check behind the bones, and look at Mirage. She didn't second-guess the grunt after Mr. Incredible moved the Tiki statue. But apparently, a minor little beeper sets off hundreds of sticky balls. But how did Geyser Beam get there? Let's see. We know that after the laws against supers, Geyser Beam went into hiding, and that he protested a bit, and then he was lured back by Buddy Pine. Now, you may be asking, well, wouldn't Gazerbeam be suspicious that he was going right back to his old island? The answer is no. Not at all, because notice who Mirage poses as. A government representative who claims she has ties to the NSA, and when the supers were all forced into hiding, all of the bases would immediately be taken by the government. It all makes complete and total sense. And remember, Gazerbeam had no idea that it was hijacked to begin with, because for some reason, he left their team long ago. Another question you may be asking is why didn't Syndrome change the password? And my response to that would be that, he savagely murdered every single super who he thought